Okay, we're live on the webinar and we're recording, but for some reason it is still not syncing with Facebook Live, so I apologize for that. But yeah, we were just kind of talking, and then we'll get into what we're talking about. Well, actually, you know what? I hadn't prepared a digital marketing tip for this week, so that will be exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about and my big, hairy, audacious goal, that's how you and I met, was let's talk about this big, hairy, audacious goal you have, Susan. And it was the fact that I work with yogis and energy healers and light workers, and part of what they do is, it's so important to show up, but part of what they do is be humble.
Yeah.
And to only, not to want to, many of them don't want to share of themselves. And to your point about somebody that that just became a Reiki practitioner,
yep,
that person will, if they decide that they want to make it, either they want to make it a business, or they want to increase their reach and help more people, or both. Like, it's possible to do both. Make people better and make yourself some money. It's all energy, right? So get that flow in. So and it's just a matter of how do you do that with strategy, and you have to protect your energy and you have to protect your time. So you have to have those strategies that I know you work with people and I work with people on. How do you get your message across, say it clearly, have a call to action, and then step away so you can do the good work. You can go do the work that you want to do. And if you're showing up for the people who need your services, number one, but also my big, hairy, audacious goal is that people who are the light workers, the peacemakers in the world, the people bringing health and wellness to others through these gifts of energy, how do they show up for each other to know that it is okay to speak of these things in public? And it's okay to share what you do and to make an income with it. And I know that I've spoken with people recently who said when they had come back from Mindset Retreat at Bold Heart, that they were getting a little bit of pushback from others in their field that would say, well, how can you charge for what you do? We do this out of love, and we do this because we can, which is true. But if it's your business and you can't run your business, you're not serving anybody.
Agreed. Then it's a hobby, and it's okay to have a hobby, right? It's okay to have a hobby. However, I don't think it's I think money is just energy exchanging. And it's like, sometimes I think we are, I do better when I am giving somebody, my Reiki person, money, because then I expect the service I get, and I think they do a better job for me because I have paid them. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
1,000%. And if you are in that category, yogi, light worker, energy healer, it's probably going to be in yourself anyway, that when you're making money, that then you're going to be you're not spending it on icky things. Like, whatever you consider icky. I had 5 things go through my head, but I'm like, Susan, be politically correct, right? So didn't say any of them. So my guess is that you're going to be spending your money on your family, on philanthropy, on good food, on travel and learning. So it all comes around. And so it's okay to make money. So I think that's a really good segue into, I'm going to give you your formal introduction that you wrote for me here, and then I'm going to let you fly with all the good stuff.
Perfect.
Brigid Ward is the founder and CEO of Brigid Ward and Company. Hold on, I'm going to get my thing to come over here. Brigid Ward and Company is a business services and marketing company supporting online entrepreneurs to scale their businesses. And Brigid's superpower is connecting the right people together. And I am so glad that I connected with Brigid. We were in a mastermind group together briefly. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this woman has an incredible energy and she's so smart. She's going to talk to us today about systems, automations, processes, building a team, which Brigid says is all of these are imperative to have in place if you're going to scale your business wherever you're starting out. 6, 7 figures, wherever you want to go. You cannot do it alone. And Brigid's going to tell us more about that.
Hello, and I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Susan.
You're here.
Yay. And I just want to say to anybody who's listening or going to be listening to this, welcome, and I'm happy to have you here. And so, there's a lot of talk in the online world about, hitting that infamous six-figure mark. And I don't care if you're trying to hit six figures or $50,000 or $100 million, whatever. But the reality is I see too many entrepreneurs trying to do it all themselves. They're like, I am the solo entrepreneur, and they kind of wear it like a badge. And I almost want to say, no, you've got to let go. You have to, because they still say they want to hit that six-figure mark, or they say they want to hit that thing, and they think they can do it all by themselves. And the reality is they can't, and I have been fortunate because I've been in this online world for quite a while. I started off as working kind of with the newbie entrepreneur, really just starting off their business as a business coach for them. And what I realized was I was doing all their marketing for them. I was actually doing all the bits and pieces that I do now, but I was doing it for them because they were struggling. They're like, they had struggled with the tech. They struggled with the writing. They struggled with, the marketing, et cetera. So I realized, I was like, well, I'm not really acting as a business coach. I'm really doing all these things. And I realized that wasn't quite the right market for me. So I moved, my target audience, from, from the newbie to more of the pretty well established, they've been in business for several years type of person. And so for me, I've just seen along the way, like I said, they want to hit that six-figure mark, and the way to do it, it's like threefold. It's like you have to have these three things in place. You have to be willing to hire a team. Now, it doesn't have to be like 10,000 people. It could be just your first person. And so you have to start with a team, got to have some systems and processes in place. And the infamous, you got to work on that mindset, because the mindset, like I work with, I probably have 12 clients right now. And I have clients that are hitting their first $100,000 mark, and I have some that are just about hitting their seven-figure mark. So that's the gamut that I run in. And they all, at one point or another, have a mindset issue. And I am the one, not that that's my job, but because I'm so into mindset, and so I'm constantly trying to better myself with it, I constantly bring it back to that. I'm like, what do you guys do? So that piece, and I'll touch in it later, but that is a very, very important piece, no matter where you are in the scale of your business, right? Or the, whatever, whether you're making $10,000 a year or $100,000 a year, mindset is still a piece of the puzzle. So
super.
Now, so I'm going to start with team. When it comes to team, I just see way too many entrepreneurs who refuse to hire their first virtual assistant. And I even have a couple women in my mastermind now who are just so proud that they're doing it all themselves. And the problem is, and I think because I can see in them myself 5-10 years ago, because that was me. Like I was like, oh, it's just better do it myself. And I remember the first team member I hired for a project, and I say team member because I am a team, like I'm a very sporty person. Like, I played soccer and basketball, and so it was a swim team, the whole thing. So for me, even if they're only working for me 10 hours a month, I still view them like they're my team. Like they are treated like they are family, because that's how I want to work with people. Like I don't want to just be like, this is the way it's done, do it this way or you're fired. It's like, that's just not how I work. So when I, bring on somebody, I want them to, one, feel welcome, feel supported, feel all those things. But the first person I hired, it just failed. Like it failed. It blew up in my face. It was horrible. Oh. She went MIA on me. But the reality is I had to, right? It happens. And I had to, figure out what to do next and go, wait a second, this is not everybody. And I kept saying to myself, in order to build a business, you have to be willing to, hire somebody. So it took me a few more, months to hire somebody. But once I did, now I have a virtual assistant. Well, I've got several virtual assistants now, but my first one I hired, she's been with me now for 2 years. Like, she is amazing. I adore her. But it is a matter of just starting off, people, and just be willing to hire for 10 hours a month. Like, if you can't afford $200 to $300 a month, then you really can't afford to run your business. And I'm not saying you should go out and hire somebody if you're only making $10,000 a year. I'm not. I'm saying you need to do it when you're about 30,000, and you feel like, okay, I really want to get this to 50,000. Then it's time to be willing to invest that $300 a month, and you can start to, have them send out emails, have them send out, those little tasks that actually take quite a bit of time that you don't even realize. And this is when I would suggest to people, I don't know if you do this, Susan, but like, track your time during the day for a week and see where you're spending your time. It's amazing what we spend our time on and how long certain tasks take. And you realize, crap, I'm spending however much time on these emails, sending them out, or, answering customer service questions, or, whatever, which, let's say you have a business where you get a lot of questions from your people. If you had a list of, simple, like list of the regular questions you get.
Yeah, like canned responses, all set to go.
Bingo. You could have a VA go in and respond to those. Like, you could train them to be able to go in and respond, because that can just be, yes, it takes time to set those up, but in the long run, it saves you time. So to me, it's like, I always say, if you have a mindset that you can't spend the money on a team member, you're never going to succeed. And this is a big, big, big piece of the puzzle, because, like I said, they all kind of intertwine. It's like mindset, hiring somebody, it's just investing in a process or a system or whatever. We're all afraid to release that money, but we forget that, money's just energy. Yeah. Money is just energy. And if we're willing to let it go, it can come back tenfold. Like, every time I get to pay somebody, I am like paying it right then and there. And I can't wait to pay it, because I'm like telling them, send me your invoice. I want to pay you. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I want to pay it right now. And they're like, I've never had somebody who's so excited to pay me. I'm like, I love to pay my team, because I know that by paying them, I'm bringing in more money, because they're relieving me of some certain things that I just don't have the time, energy, or ability to do. And so I revel in the idea that I get to pay them. Now, was I always like that? Probably not. But now I am very much like that. And I want all of us to get to that place. And I'm going to quickly touch on one last little thing. I don't want, because I've seen this happen, I don't want anybody to go and say, okay, well, Brigid said I need to hire somebody. I'm going to hire everybody. Like, I'm going to hire somebody to build my website and do all this and do all this and do all this. And then you go into debt. Like, that's not what I want. Because it is, I want you to start small. Like, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh my God, she said I have to hire someone and I want to hire everybody. It's like, I've seen it with, I have a friend who opened a store, like a baby store or whatever. And, she never worked in it. She hired it out and she did all this stuff and she was really good in it. But, ultimately she ran out of money, because everybody was doing everything but her. Right. And so you don't want to go to that level where you're just like, I have hired everyone to do my entire business and all I do is marketing, but I'm not even good at marketing. So maybe I should hire that, or whatever, right? I got to hire Susan to help me with that. So it's one of those things where I feel like, you just have to start off slow, but figure out what those little pieces are in your day that are causing you, and I know people are like, oh, there's nothing that's causing me time. I can do it all. It's like, but remember, your time is probably billed out at a much higher rate than a VA who's only billing out at anywhere, I have VAs across the world. I mean, most of them are in the North America, but I have a VA I work with once in a while that only charges me $8 an hour for certain easy little research tasks. But for her, it's easy. But for me, it would take me, 3 hours, but 3 hours at my rate. Does that make sense?
Right.
No.
Right.
Her at her $10 rate or $8 rate or whatever, much more efficient. Right. So it's like, I have these, I found a couple, I have a great editor on Epworks that he and I are like, I only use him, and he knows I only use him. And I send him all my work, and he's fantastic and fast and efficient. And I adore him. Like I would hire him like that if I could steal him off of Upworks, you know?
Yeah.
But that's my point, is it's about building relationships and being open and honest with them. And, you know, like I had a situation with a VA last night where she didn't do something great, and I was really upset for a second. And then I was like, no, you know what? I didn't give her enough information. So I'm going to walk her through what I'm expecting, because that's not fair to her. I have it in here, and I expect people to understand it sometimes. And my husband's always like, Brigid, it's up there.
Yes.
So it's just, you know, it's never going to be perfect the first time around, but if you're willing to train and provide feedback, it's going to be great. It's going to be
that's like, the same thing. I have control enthusiasm. And so it was hard for me to give up. But what I have a few VAs, and what I've noticed is, and each of them have their strengths, right? Like I thought one was going to do this, this, and this, but really she's best at this. Yeah. So then I found somebody else who's good with this. But what I did find was, because I am an idea generator, I had a million ideas. And to me, to create something could probably take 15 minutes or half an hour, right? And it might take her a little longer at first.
Right.
But here's the thing, is that going through the process with her and bringing her along with me, what I know is that when I give her the instructions, she will point out, wait, but what? Because it was so in my head that I didn't say it out loud. I'm like, oh, right, you've got to go in and you've got to, you have to format this, and then you've got to find the colors. Like I just knew where the colors in the formatting were. Right. And so she is also, while she's going through this process with me, creating standard operating procedures.
Right.
So that I will have them in case she can't do it and I can hop on and do it, or if somebody else joins our team.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so she's a support in so many more than just getting the work done. She's helping me to funnel and organize my own systems.
Bingo. Which also leads into the next topic I want to talk about, which is systems and, like standard operating procedures, basically processes and systems. And, and don't get me wrong, we all, I don't want to say we all struggle, but most of us struggle in this, because it's like, it takes time. But that's why, like, you're doing it right, Susan. You have your team build these out, because if they can't build it out based on what you've given them, then there's a back and forth, and that's fine. But you get it built out, and then you review it and be like, oh yeah, you know what? That's perfect. Or you missed 2 steps here, but that's fine, because at least you want them to be able to build it out, because one, it's time efficient, and 2, it's money efficient, and 3, it just, makes more sense. But I agree. I think I want people to be willing to invest in certain systems. Like I see too many people who balk at the idea of paying for an email service provider, once they hit a certain level. And the problem is, I'm like, I know we all started off with MailChimp, and don't get me wrong, I used to love the monkey too, but you can't, I don't care what they say, that you cannot do what ConvertKit can do, what ActiveCampaign can do. Kajabi is a next level, and it's a much more pricey platform, but you just can't do what these other places can do. And it's hard for me, because I'm like, ActiveCampaign, you can get it like as low as $9 a month. Like that is not that much money. And I know that, and if you're making 30 grand, and like I said, I tried to use that 30 grand mark, but I think I even invested in ActiveCampaign before I was making 30 grand. I kid you not. Like I just said, I started off with MailChimp, and I was like, you know what, this is just ridiculous.
It's so hard. MailChimp is so hard.
It is.
It's the time that it takes me to fit, because a lot of my clients do have MailChimp, and we do it for them. And I'm like, oh, from now on, I'm going to have somebody, I'm going to really talk them into, what is it, $20 a month? I get it. But like the time to figure out the list, the time to figure out the formatting, the time to figure out what's the funnels trigger.
Yeah. Well, and they don't really tag properly either. Like, isn't it, the tagging is not like so I have a client where we're going to literally bring people in through one opt-in, because, and she kind of has two very distinct, ooh, that was a big lightning bolt. Sorry. It just went like flash, and now you just heard the thunder. I was like, whoa. But we just, like she has an opt-in she's going to use that can kind of go for two very different groups. But from there, we're going to funnel them into their each distinct platform or their each distinct, like product.
Right. So you need to segment that list and tag.
Bingo. And it's going to be super easy with ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, Kajabi, etc. All, but with MailChimp, it's just not that easy. Yeah. So I do force, I actually, I've gotten to a point where I know this is going to sound very terrible, but I actually tell people I won't use MailChimp. I make them move over. Yeah. I make them move over. I say, if you're going to work with me and pay my rates, then you're going to move over. And they generally, I've only had one person that came to me with MailChimp and we moved him over, but otherwise everybody else has already been on either ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, or Kajabi.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yes, invest in systems. I took you on a little rabbit hole there because it's like one of my hot spots.
Well, it is. And I just say, I kind of put as a note here, I'm tired of hearing people complain about, but it's cost money. It's like, but business costs money, right? Like you have to, like I come back to, I'm going to always be coming back to, money is just energy. It's not good or bad. It's just energy. And it's just, and it's like, I don't want people, spending tons and tons of money. And that's one of the things I do with my clients is we'll go through, they're like, where are they spending money right now? Do they have too many, like one of my clients, for instance, we just took them off of lead pages because we had their site built on Divi, and Divi now has really good landing pages. There's no need to have lead pages. And, and so it's one of those things where it took us, we were like, well, why do you need to pay that $300 a year? Not that it's that much money, because I love lead pages. I still am on lead pages, but I'll get off of it this year once I have my site rebuilt, and we'll do all our opt-ins and stuff. But it's like literally coming due like today. And I'm like, I don't have time. I didn't have time to do it. But my goal is the summer to get my site rebuilt. But that's, and the other big investment that I want people to make in. So it's the email provider. It's the, get a site that works, like a WordPress site or Squarespace site or whatever. But it's the contract and invoicing. Like, I used to do this manually. I will be honest. I used to do it manually, or, I would do like hello sign for here. And then I would send the invoice through PayPal and send the email here. It was just all these disparate pieces. And about maybe 18 months ago, 2 years ago, I invested in Dubsado, but I've used 17 Hats as well. Like those systems are just phenomenal. And yes, they are a little bit more, but I kid you not. Like I wrote down here, I know for a fact it used to take me at least an hour, start to finish, to get the contract created, to get the the email sent with the invoice and all those little pieces, just to kind of make sure everything was personalized and whatever. It would take me about an hour. Now, when I do it in Dubsado, it's literally tops 10 minutes.
No kidding.
Because what you do is you set up what they call a workflow. So, like I have these workflows. So I have a workflow for like employees. So when I bring on an employee, I have a special workflow for them. For a new client, I've got, the regular contract that's already in there. And it's like, and then you've got the email that says, hey, so great. We talked, here's your contract. Once they sign the contract, it automatically sends them the next email with the invoice, which automatically sends them the questionnaire, which so it just, and I've had clients say, that is such a slick system. I love it. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. My friend Chantel loves Dubsado. She really swears by it.
I do too. And don't get me wrong. There are moments where I want to I used to have a love-hate relationship with it, because there was moments where I'm like, why is this not working? But 95.9% of the time I love it. But you can't love everything 100%. Even your family members will drive us nuts.
She said as we entered Easter and Passover this weekend. Yeah.
Oh, of course. I know. So, but I just want everybody to remember, and I'm going to come back to this a lot. Your time is money. So if you're spending an hour of your time sending a contract and doing all these bits and pieces, that money could be, you could be wasting that time, but you could be using that time spending, on money making tasks, writing a blog, submitting to a podcast, setting up a discovery call, whatever it is that, yes, you just brought in some money and you're thinking, hey, I don't need why should I have to go find more business? But why not? You are bringing a service to this world. People need you, love you, and want to, get more from you. If you're holding yourself back because you're like, oh, I just want to focus on this new one client. Well, that's great. And I love that. But you also there's 10 people over here somewhere that need you. And you just have to keep putting yourself out there. And that sometimes can be an issue for, light workers, people, empaths. I'm an empath. Like sometimes I get drained. Like I spend more of my time behind the scenes because I get drained this way. Right. I go to my kids' soccer games. All the parents are lined up here. Brigid, me, I'm way over here because I can't be around their energy. I love them. They're wonderful people. I'll talk to them. But once the game starts, they turn crazy and I have to walk away because I feed on their energy and then I start turning crazy. And I'm like, oh, wait, why am I yelling at the ref? It's like, because they're all yelling at the ref and then I catch myself. So I realized this over the last several years, well, it's probably more like 5-6 years, that I was very, I was feeding off of everybody's energy, but that's why we learn to do that. And we have to remember, your service is needed in the world. So you have to figure out ways to keep bringing it to the world because but also protect your energy at the same time. So
exactly. That's right. So the processes I think do help that because
Bingo.
you know what your next step is. And so that kind of helps you focus the energy in. Yeah. That's a lot of the work that I do with my clients is what are we going to set up for a system? Let's make a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets because it's this, then this, then this, like you were talking about workflow, right? Yeah. It's this, then this, then this, where you're going. And it's just like, a series of yoga poses or whatever. Like you're not going to hop right into a back bend. You're going to take the steps to get you there. And you're going to have to really focus your energy on getting everything ready for one of the deeper poses that people might go in. I use that as an example because my daughter we were talking about that earlier today. So
no, it's true. You do. It's a step-by-step process. And that's like what I love about Dubsado is, think about when somebody doesn't pay your bill or something and you're like, oh crap, I have to go in because they haven't paid it. Dubsado, same thing. It's all part of the workflow. Like if they don't pay within, 2 days, they get a little reminder. If they don't pay within 3 days, it says, hey, past due, dude, you haven't paid it yet or whatever. But it doesn't get sent if they pay it. So you can set all those emails up and it's like, what a great, we have, as entrepreneurs, we have so many things on our brain all the time. Like I'm amazed at sometimes some of the things that pop into my brain at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh, I forgot to whatever.
Yes.
So I tend to try to write it all down before I go to bed. So I don't do that, but every once in a while but that's why you don't have to think about that. And that is such a huge weight off your shoulders to not have to be like, oh gosh, did Sally pay me? I don't know if I got to check. It's like, oh yeah, it's all taken care of. It's all.
Yes. And that's, again, the same thing. I could talk about that all day long. The whole thing with the Nurture series, which is one of the things that I've been, seems to me people are coming to me for more often now because you do all your deep thinking. You do the deep thought. You make the series. It's giving and it's nurturing and you're giving and then you're giving something else and you're giving something else and people know you like you, but it's set it and forget it. It's just once you've done all that work and it really accurately represents you and you have the good calls to action in there so that you've done your best work and you're going to present yourself, which is why I love digital marketing because you have the time to present yourself exactly as how you want to be, right? You take time to do that. Then it's just, okay, just add somebody to that list and that's the series they're going to get. I love that.
I do too. And that's exactly the same idea. And, just to divert for, so I definitely think systems are imperative. And then you touched on it earlier, the whole SOP, the standard operating procedure. I'm a big believer in that too. And it doesn't have to be hard. I think some people are like, oh God, I can't do it. It's too much. I literally you can use any browser now for the most part because Safari has Loom and so does Chrome. But if there's a plugin called Loom and it literally, so I use it on Chrome. It's a Loom plugin or a Chrome plugin called Loom, sorry. Yeah. And it literally records your desktop. It records your desktop. You have a little picture of you in the, if you want. I tend to turn mine off because I'm like, they don't need to see me. But, and it records your voice and it says, hey, this is how you send an email for Brigid Ward, whatever. And I go into ActiveCampaign, I click, and I just walk them through. And so then, good. Right. And so then that's one SOP, and I can have my VA then keep that. We download that from Loom. We put it in Dropbox or Member Vault is what I use. But, you can put it wherever. And then if you want, you can create the checklist with it. So it's like, here's the video for those people who are visual learners. And then here's the checklist. Log into ActiveCampaign, passwords found in LastPass, click on blah, blah, blah. Take the Google Doc that Brigid sent with the email, whatever. And you just add all those little bits and pieces, the checklist. And then that's the SOP for how to send an email. Yes, brilliant. It, sounds like a lot when you start to break everything out, but really, like I was doing an SOP last night for how to do a, so have you, like for Insta stories and podcasts, we do these audiograms, so they're like, you pull like a minute out of the podcast and we put the picture and we have the, like the sound, like the radio waves. And then we have like you can see the words. So I was showing my VA last night how to do this and how we have to go in and actually edit the transcription, because like it was like she said, working with my daughters or something like that, and it transcribed as porcupine something, like it was, and I was like, porcupine, what? And my husband was laughing. I'm like, yeah, this is where so I had to show her where you can transcribe or edit the transcription.
Edit. Oh, that's so good.
So little things like that. So I was just doing the Loom video last night as we were watching Oak Island, and so, and I'll do it more professionally later, but I needed her to just see it so that we can move forward with it going forward. But that's like we do not have to make SOPs or standard operating procedures really difficult or really audacious, because I don't want that to stop people from moving forward, right?
Exactly. But in the long run, right? So like we were saying that you do the work and then it does save time, energy.
Oh,
later.
Totally does.
Time, energy, and money.
Yeah. It does, because if you could be spending, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs hate to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Really, you should be spending 80% of your time on money-making tasks, on sales and marketing. Yeah. And that is the reality, is I think a lot of people want to do the back-end stuff, because I knew I did. That's what I like doing all the back-end stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also a way to deflect and hide and, and not put yourself out there and do all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And we have to be on Facebook Lives. We have to be sharing our message. We have to get networking. We have to do all those things that for people who are introverts, raising hand right here, I have a lot of energy, but I'm a big introvert, big introvert. And, so a networking event face-to-face is the last thing I want to do. If I had like Susan by me, we went together, that'd be totally different. But it's, for me, doing it here by myself in Texas, I have yet to show up to one.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm good online. I'm a really good networker online, and I can create lots of connections online, but I'm terrible in person. Like, unless I'm like at dinner with my husband and we happen to be like, we'll talk to people around us and stuff. I'm good that way, but to just pick up and like go to a networking event. But I know we need to do that. Like, I know it's important for all of us. So I implore all who are listening to keep remembering 80% of your time has got to be spent on marketing and sales. And that might mean writing blogs. It might be pitching yourself on a podcast. It might be, reaching out to, your last 10 people who showed interest in anything and just follow up with them.
Right.
These are all amazing tasks. I think the art of connecting with people are afraid to connect with people. And it's like, no, just reach out and be a human and just say, hey, how are you doing? Yeah. And it's like, you'd be amazed at what you can find out from them. And I think a lot.
True. And I just joined another networking group up here called Polka Dot Powerhouse, which I think is
cute
national.
name. Yeah.
But it's so based on building personal relationships, and a lot of it does happen online. So sometimes it's overwhelming because I could spend all day reaching out and talking. And this is why I'm really working hard on clarifying my message, so that when I do, I show up as authentically myself. We talk about this, and I have that one thing that might interest them, that would bring them a little closer. Join my group, or let me do a nurture series for you, or whatever it is.
Right.
Because they are a lot of business people, but everybody's craving that personal touch. It is hard. And I've worked really hard to overcome my introvert self. The white glasses help. And I usually, if I'm going out, I wear a particular necklace that has a crystal on it that I kind of hold on to it like Dumbo's feather. Like, if I got this, I can do anything.
Yeah, I put a bright lipstick on me right now, like, because it's like my superhero power. I know I don't wear I barely wear makeup, for God's sakes. I have actually makeup on for you. Not that my kids even will say, Mom, even when you have makeup on, it doesn't look like you have makeup on.
Same.
I just don't put a lot, and that's fine. But when I do like a live or whatever, it's like the last thing I do is put on a little bit of lipstick, and it's kind of like my superhero cape, like it just gives me that little, and I have this necklace that says I am enough. And and I bought that this year, and same thing. It's just enough just to say, hey, I am enough. Like, I'm good. I know what and if that person doesn't love me, that's okay. Like, I'm not for everybody. And I always, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that freaked me out. Like, why don't they like me? And now I'm like, no, I'm okay with that.
I learned that from the 4 Agreements, and I learned that from Kiva Schuler. That what other people's opinions of us are not our business, as long as we know that we're doing the best we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we just aren't everybody's cup of tea. So, and I'm just going to touch on the last thing, which I've already touched on multiple times, is the mindset piece. Really, really, you have to work on your mindset every single day, because, it's like, and I, because I think we all, I work with my kids. I have a 12-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy, and I am constantly working with them on their mindset, not necessarily about money, but just around, how to overcome a fear. Like, I had a son who injured himself, and it wasn't even like somebody took him out on the soccer pitch. It was literally, he had a growth spurt, and he overstrained his groin muscle. And so he was out of soccer for like 2 months, and he was scared to get back on the soccer pitch. Like, he literally, he has been playing soccer and loved soccer since he was 2 years old. And he was scared. And I was like, how do I help this kid? And I had to pull out all the things I could find. And I gave him a rubber band, not a rubber band, but those Live Strong plastic.
Yeah.
I gave him one of those, but it was a New Zealand one, because we used to live in New Zealand. And I said, every time you relive that fear, I want you to snap it and put a positive thought, replace it with and that's the same thing with money. You can do that with money. Like, if you're like, I can't make money, I suck at making money, snap that thing and put a positive thought. Because he said to me, Mom, I used to think about it 7-10 times a day. And now I'm down, this was several weeks ago. Now I'm only down to 1 a day. And I only have to snap it once a day. And now he doesn't even use the words injury. He calls it his awesomeness. He's like, Coach pulled me off, Mom, because of my awesomeness. He wanted me to rest my awesomeness, And I was like, yeah, baby. And,
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's also, last week I had Petra Contrada on the interview, and similar, she said, if you have a negative thought, replace it with a positive thought. And that was her thing to clarity. So it's so good to hear you reinforcing that thought today. Yeah.
And somebody recommended, I have the book, I just haven't read it yet. The Alter Ego by Todd Herman. I guess he goes into this a lot about, he used to be, work with Olympic athletes and all these type of people. And he's same thing, same idea. Cause I was explaining it to a client. She's like, oh my God, did you read the Alter Ego? I go, no, not yet. And she goes, he talks about that. So it's, but that's the thing is so mindset is such a part of our life, everyday life, whether it's money, fear, just watching our words. I'm constantly, like, my older son will say, oh, Mom, I'm kind of dopey, or I'm a doof. I'm like, no, buddy, you are funny. You are clever, replace that with, cause he is, he's 14 and he's kind of a little, gangly and whatnot. But I'm like, buddy, you're a great kid. And, and so I'm like constantly trying to help him remind himself of that too. So it is, mindset is a big piece of the puzzle. And you have to have all these bits and pieces in place, but you have to work on that too. Like, it's important to have a team member. It's important to have the systems and processes. But if you forget about the mindset, it could all go to hell in a handbasket.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
And one last little thing I want to say is, you know, a lot of people want to make that $100,000, you know, that first, I made 6 figures, but they forget they haven't done the math, right? And it's funny because I can't tell you how many people forgot to do the math. And it's like, that's $8,333 a month at the bare minimum. You know, that's without taxes and all that stuff. So, but it's, you know, $8,333. And that's okay. But you have to do that for 12 months in a row. Like, a lot of times they do it that first time. They're like, I did it. And then they like fall off the bandwagon and they get back to, then they the next month is like a $3,000 a month. And that's okay. But you have to remember that you haven't hit the 6-figure mark just because you hit that first $8,333 a month.
Right.
And that's okay. But I just want people to know that we have to keep on keeping on. We got to keep on, you know, and that is the thing about this entrepreneurial world of ours, that it does tax us. It does take its toll, but it's, you know, but it's the most amazing place in the world. And you can do anything you put your mind to. I mean,
I agree. So good. I do feel like that, you know, often I have the, you know, the entrepreneur roller coaster, right? Oh my God, I'm amazing. Oh my God, I suck. Oh my God, I'm killing it. Oh my God, where's everybody? Like, every day is different. But then when I think about going to work in somebody else's office or somebody else's establishment with the same people, 40 hours a week, and having to have the same conversations, like, I get to talk to somebody different every day about something different. I get to learn from my clients because they're all doing amazingly interesting things that are going to change the world and bring more energy and love and peace in the world. And this was so good. I know you said you would send me some notes, and I'll put them in the
for sure
on the blog post when I post this video. And I can't thank you enough. So tell me, so we didn't even talk about this. How can people find you, work with you, learn more about you?
Yeah, they can. I mean, if they want to, just go to Brigid Ward. So it's BRIGID as in Delta, because I got the Irish spelling thanks to my parents, and it's Ward, at least Ward is easy to spell, .com. And there's a, you know, if anybody wants to, there's a link on there to sign up for a discovery call if they wanted to or whatnot. But yeah, I'm an open book. You can also private message me on Facebook. I'm easy to find, and I'm always available, because I like to support people wherever I can. Like, I have a lot of that belief in karma. Put good karma in the world, good karma comes back.
True.
I guess I've been like this probably for at least the last 25 years, because I lost my dad 20 years ago, but I think I started doing it a little bit before he died. But once he died, I think it was like, I really embraced that whole gratitude, because, you know, like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was writing gratitudes every day. And that's how I got into this whole idea of, like, you just have to put good energy in the world, because, you know, you can't take it with you. You know, it's like, you can, I mean, like, I remember at one point I wanted to upgrade my ring, and I was like, you can't take it with you. Like, what's the point? Like, I don't care about that stuff. Like, I just want to put and create wonderful memories and work with amazing people, and, you know, just be able to go to bed at night and go, that was fun. That was a fun day.
I'm so glad we got to be in that mindset, the mastermind group.
Me too.
Together,
Me too.
because
I'm so glad.
making that connection really meant a lot to me. I can't wait for our discovery session to talk about that. Oop, and that might be my cue that it's time to wrap up. I'm going to stop our recording. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hang in just a second.
Yeah, no problem.